Today, I'm going to explain to you the entire process of how to become an Amazon seller. Nobody else explained this to you in a YouTube video in one video, so stay tuned. I bet you will find out a lot of things that you didn't know. Watch me. I've got a little graphic here for you, which I created to help you follow the entire process step by step. It's super important that you actually once realize what's all involved before you just dive right in, right? Before or on the side note, I want to mention that there might be a few legal requirements and tax requirements that you have to look into, such as opening a business. Even if you start as a sole trader, you may have to get a tax ID number in the country that you're resident in or where you want to start selling in. So these are things that are not covered in this presentation, but the rest of on how to get a product and where does it actually start and what's involved, this is what we're going to do now. The first thing you do is you have to start with some ideas. I did a few videos about that, so if you have no idea on what you want to sell, then you start there. If you already have an idea, then you can go straight away through product research, and within this video I'm actually going to show you how to do that. If you one of the few key points you want to pay attention to when it comes to your product is the first one. Obviously, if you already have a lot of e-commerce experience and if you have a huge cash flow, then you don't need to be so picky. If you just want to kind of have a peek in and I'm a bit hesitant and maybe only start with a smaller budget, then you want to look into certain criteria, such as your product needs to be small, which means it should fit in a shoebox. It shouldn't be too heavy, let's say less than 2 kilos or less than 3 pounds. We do want this product to be rather not breakable. So selling something like glass or ceramic can be a bit of a tricky one. You want the product to be evergreen, which means it's not just an Easter decoration. Of course, Easter decoration, a Halloween decoration sells really well, but only for 2 weeks of the year. The rest of the year it just sits there. So try to find something evergreen. On top of that, if that evergreen product is giftable, like let's say something like a knife set, then that's amazing. Furthermore, you want to pay attention to certain categories that you may or may not want to enter, or if you want to enter, you may encounter some hurdles from Amazon, such as electronics. Electronics can be a bit difficult just because of quality in issues, batteries and stuff like that. Same goes for lighting. Automotive is often a gated category. Same are toys. Baby products have a lot of compliance. Clothing can be quite challenging because of the inventory sizes that you need, because you need obviously different colors and different sizes. And anything that has to do with food and ingestibles, you may want to stay away with. So the typical niche where people start is something like home and garden, household, kitchen, dining, bathroom, something like decorative. But in saying that decorative items are often great to start with, but in times of crisis, people are not going to buy a new picture frame, but they still need food, right? Or they still need screws to fix something in the house. So these are kind of the things you want to pay attention to when you come up with your ideas. And then you just make a huge list. Then we're going into product research and we analyze our profits, we check our markets, and we're going to go and do that right now. All right, let's start with our product research. So let's say you have a ton of ideas that you've written down, right? You can obviously go just into Amazon and just check and then just go for it. But in saying that, you do want to make sure that it meets certain criteria. And for that, you need a tool. I use Helium 10. I find it a great tool. It's easy. It's really user-friendly. And it's not just great for product research, it will also help you a ton later on in the process when you actually start selling, to track your inventory, to write your customers, to see if you made money, how much money you're making, so much more. So it's a great tool. If you need a discount, there is a link in the bio. So what we do now, I'll use this wind spinner as an example today. Please do not start selling it. If you do, that's on you, not on me. It's just an example of how to go through the entire process. So let's say you want to start selling wind spinners. And you go onto your Amazon page. You make sure up top left here, you have your delivery addresses in the country that you want to start selling in. you have your Helium 10 up top right here installed. That's your extension. You can just get that from the Chrome shop. So very easy. And then we just type in WindSpinner and we get started. And the next thing we want to pay attention to is pricing. We obviously want a decent price on our products. We don't want this to be super cheap. We want that there are quite a few, obviously it needs to match our keyword. That's the one thing we do. We want a lot of low reviews and we want people to make money. So how do we check that? So when we go here, we say here, okay, cool. That's a brand. That's sponsored, which means people pay for that. Then we see quite a few guys here they have decent pricing, which is great. So everything above $20 I like to go for. And then we keep going. We see there's quite a few guys with really high reviews. Everything above 350 I find quite high. Preferably everything below 250 is awesome. If you find a lot of products here that are under 200 or even in the double digits, that's amazing. If they make money, then that's a really good way of considering that could be one of your products that you could start selling. There's quite a few in here that are in the lower 3 digits. Further here, you can see somebody here. There's quite a few on page 1. So this is the page 1 where everybody wants to go on. Why? Because 80% of sales happen on here and 60% of sales on page 1 happen in the first 2 rows. That's where everybody wants to sponsor and get up there. Okay, then we run our X-ray. And again, this is just for purposes of showing you the process, not how to find a product. And that's the research you do. And then you run your X-ray and you see up top right here, your search volume. This is a really good search volume. That's a lot of people looking for that. You can see they're making a ton of money. On average, they're making over $20,000 in the last 30 days, which is great. The pricing is amazing. And the average reviews are actually pretty good. Average reviews are just like an indicator. Some people will tell you, oh, if it's above 250, then you can't go for it. I don't find that important, the average number, because there could be some people in there that might have like 20,000 reviews where others only have 30, right, and still make money. So I like to go through this individually. I have a look here. Yes, they're all WindSpinner. That's what's important. I like to check my brands. I use Amazon very often, or you will find certain categories where one brand is like really dominating. You want to check the pricing. That's cool. And you see most of these people do make a lot of money. Sometimes you can see that there is like an NI. Just ignore them for now. Check tomorrow, a day later. If Amazon does not display the BSR, which is the bestseller rank, like this number, Helium 10 can't calculate the estimated revenue. And then we go over here and have a look. And then you can see there's quite a few people here who have low reviews. And then we check number 19, 13. Do they make money? Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, if you start just out and that's your first month and you make almost $5,000 a month in the revenue, then that's pretty cool. You probably take about $1,500 home. That would be amazing, wouldn't it? So looking over this could be really cool. And I'm thinking now, yep, awesome. WindSpinners can be my thing. So what's the next step? The next step will be to just have a quick look on Alibaba, which I've just done here, like for these little WindSpinners, and you just multiply generally this factor by 5. So if you see something on Alibaba where you think, oh, this is quite cool, I would like to sell that kind of WindSpinner, then you get some sort of idea on what could be the average price. This is not quotation just yet. It's just an idea. You want to multiply this by 5 to see if you can start selling it. So yes, here $30, does it fit? And then you see, yep, cool, there's quite a few $30. There's a few that are way more expensive. There's also a few that are obviously cheaper. But if you can be around the $30, $35 and have a decent product, then yes, that can work. The next thing you need to think about is how to make a point of difference. Differentiation is a huge factor because there's nobody, why would anybody want to buy exactly the same for maybe even $5 more, right? So you want to make sure you make your product as unique and stand out as possible. You can do this by different things. You can obviously offer sets, you can bundle things, you can change the color, you can change even the design. Like if you're very creative, you can make your own drawing, contact suppliers and see if they can make you a WindSpinner that's not even slightly remotely related on Amazon at all. You can make it a solar one, you can make it spinny, you can make it dingy, like, like make it also so it just makes some sound when it spins. You can do a ton of things, how you can make your point of difference. Also think about things like obviously color, size, material, could be different things that often comes up quite quickly to me, and obviously sets if you want to bundle something. So that's a really good way. If you struggle a bit, then you can go onto Etsy, for example. I find Etsy quite cool to just grab some more ideas, and you just come in here, wind spinner, and you might find something that you think, oh, cool, I haven't seen something like that. Like with a little bird, for example. Or you see that we saw that one just on Amazon as well. But maybe you haven't seen anything like that on Amazon, like a little frog couple spinning. So that would be something cute that you could think about, like also selling. Like maybe not sell exactly that one, but you could come up with ideas here. So it's more like an idea generator than anything. Your next step will be customer validation. Is this even something that customers want? How do you do that? You can quickly look into your Amazon, like the guys that make a ton of money, like this one here, for example. They make a ton of money, and it will also help you to maybe make a point of difference. So if you see down here in your, you see, for example, their rating is really bad, that's great for you, because that will give you some ideas on what people did not like about this particular product, and that can help you to make your product much better. So people obviously buy it, they're on page 1, they're making $20,000 in the last month, which is like, whoa, nobody likes it, at 1.7 stars, which goes against everything what everybody always says. You need to have 5 stars, otherwise you don't make sales. That's not true. If it's the only one on there but people love it, I love the look of it, I don't even look at the reviews. I think like, that's all just weird people. I'm just going to give it a shot. I'm going to buy it. It's going to look great in my garden. And if in worst case scenario, I just send it back. So you can still make the sale. But people hate it. So now let's read what's happening. Why do people hate it? Don't waste money. It doesn't work. It's just junk. It's too small, way smaller than you think. It's flimsy. You can see all that. It won't spin, nothing. Won't spin, way smaller, and stuff like that. So you can see just by looking through these reviews, you will be able to see what can you make better on your product. And then you can, like, if you already have your idea to make it bigger, make it sturdier and stuff like that, you can obviously, that's your point of difference, right? So it stands out. So you make that product that everybody already wants, but you actually make it in top-notch quality. So really simple. Once you created that, you will start contacting suppliers. For example, here you just go on Alibaba and you can source wherever you want. As process is always the same. I created a video on how to source, and it also comes with an RFQ example, so you can use that if you like. You contact a ton of suppliers. You want to then shortlist the suppliers and make sure they actually offer, obviously, not just the cheapest price, but the best price for the best product. They actually can give you your point of difference product that you like. Sometimes you will find it a bit harder to find somebody who will do exactly what you want, but maybe they can offer you something that's not already on Amazon and is very close to your idea. And if you then point out certain things like sturdiness, or if actually needs to spin, like what you saw in these bad reviews, then that will really help you to make your product better without having to come up with something completely different. Because creating something from scratch with your supplier is often way pricier than you can imagine. I mean, they often have to stop their production, make a sample for you and stuff like that. But if you find something that they already make, if you haven't seen anywhere that you maybe can put a nice little tweak on, then that would be great. Then you order your samples. And even before you order your samples, you want to do your profitability. This is super crucial. So I'll pop this in here. You can see packaging design. You can do all this. You want to get your quotes and stuff. But you really want to make sure before you even order any sample, no samples, don't make any commitments, nothing. You want to just collect quotes and want to put them in your profitability sheet and check out, is this working for me? Can I actually do this? Considering there will be potential shipping costs, you have to do photos, you have to write a listing, maybe you want to get help from a copywriter for that. If not, you can use AI tools. I made a video about that as well. You can put in all your actually packaging costs and all the stuff you need, and then you see what's the average price on Amazon with your costing and all the costs that come towards you, and you think, okay, am I above? Can I still, even with a little bit of advertising, can I make more than 30%? Initially, you're probably not going to make 30% or even 40 or 50, but in your second, third, fourth order, you definitely do want to make 30-40%, right? In your initial order, it might be a bit less just because you need to launch and you probably have a little bit of a lower price to get on the market. That's very normal. But over a long run, you want to make a decent margin. And you want to do this before you order samples. There's no point of ordering a lot of samples and spending. Samples are often quite expensive because they're getting shipped to you custom made if you have changes. And on top of that, they often come by express. So they're quite pricey. For my last sample, I paid $800, which sounds like creepy, but I already did my due diligence, so I do know that it's going to work, or it has worked, by the way. So it's all great, but you want to make sure that you've done this before, because there's no point of spending a lot of money on tons of different samples. A lot of people do that and then realize, oh, I can't actually sell it. I would have to sell this for $90, but the average price on Amazon is like $55. And really, my product is not that different. So that's the point, right? So do your quotes, check your samples after you've done your profitability. This is also where you can then do your quality control. So you obviously do your quality control with your sample, but at the same time, when you then decide, yes, I want to go with that, you can tell the company that you're going to have quality checks. You're definitely going to make sure that they sending samples either off to somebody. For example, if you do have to do some testings, let's say if it's a toy, you will have to send it to an external lab to make sure it's complies with all the legislations in the country you want to sell it. So like little plush toys can't have these hard removable button eyes. They need to be stitched on and stuff. So for choking hazard. So these are the things that I can help you with to figure out. But a good company, a good supplier would also tell you a lot of things, but you can't trust everything. So always do your own research. Make sure you know what your product needs, and check. You want to make sure you order when you find your suppliers. So you get your quotes. You get about 10 quotes. Then you slim it down to 5. Then you maybe order 2 or 3 samples. And then you decide who you're going to work with. That person is going to be your partner, hopefully for a very, very long time. You also need to, at that point in time, negotiate your payment terms. Generally, I would say for your first order, it's not unusual to pay even 50%. Sometimes you can negotiate 30% or even more stages and stuff like that before, so that you can actually start production, and then the rest you pay later. And there's different ways to pay that later, depending on how you ship. Your supplier can also organize shipping, or if you feel like sometimes suppliers don't offer it, like a lot of Vietnamese supplier, for example, don't ship, then you can get your own shipping company, which you will do the same. You get multiple quotes and compare. Always compare. You can never just think, oh, this sounds expensive or this sounds great. The cheapest price is often something fishy about it. There's a lot of drama in the shipping and logistics and e-commerce world. So make sure you work with somebody that you can trust, because at the end of the day, you give them all your product. That's all your investment. And if they do something nasty, then you lose that and you can't sell it. And it's just a very bad experience, which you don't need to have. So you make sure before you pay your second half or your second third of your final invoice, you have a product in compliance and you have your inspection, which means somebody comes externally, goes to the factory and checks all your products, drops the box and makes sure they're actually packed and not break, make sure it's properly labeled with all the requirements that needs to be met. Is it actually the size and the color that you said? Stuff like that. It's very, very important. Yes, that does cost money, but believe me, it's cheaper to do it here than start selling and getting tons of returns and complaints from customers. So do the check here. Don't save money on quality checks. Then you ship, and while it's shipping, that's when you actually go onto Amazon. So you will have your Amazon account. So while in the meantime, while you've decided all the stuff, you already can create your Amazon account, obviously. And you should actually, because you will have to create a listing. I sometimes even say create a dummy listing. I made a video about that as well, how to do that, just to check if there's any other requirements that you may have not noticed. For example, is there any gating? Do you maybe need to upload a certification that you weren't aware of? Even so, if you read my compliance box, you should be aware of everything and shouldn't get any bad surprises. Once you've done that, you go into your Amazon account, which you hopefully have opened by them. It can take, generally it takes up to a week to open it, because they will send you a postcard. There's different ways of getting verification. Sometimes you have to do a video call. Sometimes you get a postcard like with Google and have to get like put your little code in. I just want to make sure there's no fake sellers, no fake accounts, and because there's a lot of money involved, nobody wants to get fraudulent sellers on here. Not you, not me, not anybody. So just take your time, make sure you actually check what you need, what documents you need. Then you open your account, and then it's time for you to create your listing. I did make a video on how to create a listing, so I'm not going to go into detail, but you just add it in here. And then you would also have to create a little barcode, which I also made a video about, and send it to your supplier, because your supplier needs to pop that little barcode on your product. And it will be just like any product you see in shops. It will be just like something like that. And if you have a little box, it might be just a little sticker, depending if you designed your own product packaging, where you maybe have that already printed on, or if it's just a standard packaging and you just have a little sticker. To save money at the beginning, you can just use a standard packaging with a sticker. Or if you say, nah, I want to stand out straight away in a packaging, is the first impression, right? First impression is super important, and nobody can forget it, but people are really impressed. Then you may want to like print it on. So you need that barcode, and you get this from Amazon. Once you send it to your supplier, then obviously they pack everything, they get everything ready for you. Everything gets shipped, so you can not just create your listing, because maybe once you've done your first listing, it just looks like that. So you really just put a really plain listing in. You just put your title in here, which can be very basic, probably just a photo, even a fake photo, and you have no text or nothing. So that's probably how your initial listing looks like, which is enough to create a shipping plan to Amazon, and it's enough to create the barcode. So that's often very fine for the first while. And why it takes 4 to 6 weeks to ship on from China or from wherever to your marketplace. Let's say China to the US takes about 4 to 6 weeks. Sometimes it surprises me and it's really fast, but most of the time that's like just what you have to calculate. That gives you enough time to actually write your listing. And I did do a video about that as well, on how to optimize a listing. You can use an AI tool, which is Power Listing I'm using for that. There's also a discount code in the description. Or you can use Helium 10's Listing Builder, which is also a really great tool. You write your listing, you obviously make sure that it's all a really beautiful title that people can find, that makes sense, have a lot of keywords in it. You write your bullet points, you upload your images, and now you do all this in here in your back end. You just will have that there, will be very plain. And then you just upload everything, yeah, right? So it's very, very simple. If you ever uploaded anything on Instagram or on Facebook, or work with any CRM system or EPR system in your work, then this is nothing different. It's very self-explanatory. Sometimes there's errors. Don't be afraid. Errors happen all the time. You cannot break Amazon, which that's what I always say. They're always going to be there. The support is not super helpful, so make sure you stay tuned on my channel, sign up for the newsletter, and you get a lot of help, a lot of free help. You just enter all your information here, and you obviously want to make sure that this is really correct, because the only way how people can find you is by typing keywords in, right? So they're typing a keyword into the Amazon search, which will be their win spinner, and then hopefully you show up. You want to be on page 1, and the way to do it is by writing a super, super mint title and great bullet points, great description, and using the awesomest keywords that you can find, so that are highly relevant, and advertising. So at the beginning, you want to do a combination. So as soon as your products arrive at Amazon, you will be able to see how many are available, what's still inbound, stuff like that. And then you can start running your advertising, which depending on the category can be cheap or can be expensive. I did a video about that, how to calculate your initial budget, just to get some sort of idea. But it strongly depends on competition, category, and time of year. For example, if you start selling toys, they will be obviously way more expensive around Christmas. Or if you're selling eternal roses or something like that, they will be way more expensive around Valentine's Day. Or little tool sets and torches can often get more expensive around Father's Day. So just bear that in mind, but it's a good indicator of just getting some sort of idea. And then it's time for you to sell. So eventually people hopefully can find you. If they can't find you, contact me. You probably need to optimize something on your listing. And when they start selling, then you will not get an information straight away saying you made a sale. You will only get an information, an email sent to your registered email address saying Amazon has shipped this and this item. And then you get a little list. And hopefully one day you get so many emails, and it will just be, we sent these 255 items to your clients. That would be great. And then you can track everything that happened here. You can use Helium 10 to track all that, so you don't need to find your way through Amazon jungle, which can be quite exhausting. Or you watch some of my videos on how to find your sales, how to track your orders, how to check your payments and everything like that. I hope this was a helpful video. I did this because I do know that a lot of people feel like, what am I going to do first? Where am I going to do next? I hope this was easy enough. I'm going to finish with the graphic because I find this is a pretty good graphic where you can see easily what you have to do first. So again, product idea, do the research, make sure you already have some sort of profit in mind. Can you make profit? Just divide the figures by 5 that you see on Amazon to get an idea of what your purchasing price should be. If it is super low pricing, like everything below $20, it will be really hard for you because obviously Amazon is charging a fee for shipping the products to your customer, but also a sales commission kind of. So that's about 30% in total that they take off you. So if you feel like you just can't make money, then choose a different product. There's no need to work this out and I don't know, break a leg over it. You just want to make sure you can make money comfortably, and then it's often better to go into a niche that sells in total less volume but on a higher demand and higher price than going into these cheap areas where you often also compete with overseas sellers on a very low price level. Then you want to obviously make sure you have a point of difference, a real point of difference. Just changing the colors is too easy. Somebody else is probably already doing that. And a real point of difference, think about color, size, design, functionality, if you're a bit more creative, material, great things to do. And check if people would actually like that. I mean, there's no point of adding, let's say, a toaster and a kettle in a box together because maybe a lot of people don't want to buy that set. Yes, it's maybe cool as a newlywed gift, or if a student moves house or finally moves in their first house owners and stuff like that. But a lot of people would be quite happy to just buy the same product from or different products from the same brand, looking matching, but not in a set. So make sure it actually makes sense so you don't miss out on everybody who would love your kettle, but they already have the toaster, so they don't want the set. Then you create your product. You may need somebody who draws you something. If you need a proper drawing, you can get people from Upwork or Fiverr, or maybe you know a student who studies engineering. They can use do a cut design. Then you create your packaging. If you want to, you can use a standard one, or you do your custom one. Again, you can do a lot of things on Canva, which is mostly free. Or again, you get somebody who's doing this for you on Upwork or Fiverr. There's tons of people, really smart people out there. I generally use those. Then you identify your manufacturers. You can get some agreements with them, but especially when we're talking overseas, and with overseas I mean China, it can be quite challenging to check to make sure they're actually sticking to whatever agreement they want to do. You check your quotes. You send obviously a lot of quotes out. Again, once you get the quotes back, you want to check your profitability. Does it still make sense? Is this still a product you want to go for? If you feel, yep, I can do that, then you order your samples. You check your samples, order multiple samples from different factories, especially also maybe from different price ranges, just so you see what would your customers get. Believe me, you will be surprised with the results. Once you decided that you want to maybe go for that, you need to do more research on compliance. Even if everybody else already selling on Amazon and you don't feel like they've done a lot of research and it looks very simple, like a very simple product, a lot of products do need to meet certain criteria. At that point in time, maybe already create your Amazon dummy listing just to see if you maybe have to get ungated for a certain category. Just don't wait for these things after you paid already a lot of money for a deposit and even for the whole production to realize that you may not be able to sell this product. So check your product compliance, get quality control arranged, get some shipping quotes, decide on your shipper, prepare your pre-launch, think about how can you launch it, what's your pricing, what's your marketing budget, do you maybe already have a community where you could post things like that? If you already have a little store, maybe you want to use an email list or something like that, and then you start selling. And once you start selling and you're awesome, you can also think about wholesaling your own product out to other retailers. But that's like, I really hope you like this video. I try to make it as simple and as quick as possible, but there's certain things that have to be mentioned. I hope you find the graphic, well, easy to follow and understand. Again, this was just an example. Don't start selling wind spinners. If you like this video, I hope for your like and subscribe, and keep in mind there are discount codes in my description. See you soon.